Speaking of Sony as well, looks like we're seeing this side of it too, and this one's gonna be a little bit shorter for them. Oops, sorry. But yeah, so we got Sony. Sony says PS5 price hikes haven't reduced demand despite sales decline. Interesting. Sony has defended its pricing strategy for the PlayStation 5, telling investors that the company's multiple price increases have not led to a decline in customer demand, even as recent sales figures point to a significant slowdown in several major markets. During a recent investor Q&A session, Sony was asked about its approach to console pricing hardware profitability and the long-term costs associated with the eventual PlayStation 6. Oh boy, and I got something for the PlayStation 6 in just a moment. The company acknowledged that rising component prices continue to put pressure on manufacturing costs, stating that it is not quote, not realistic to absorb all increases internally. According to Sony, PS5 sales remain in line with its expectations despite higher retail prices. The company also reiterated that it does not intend to sell its hardware at substantial losses, adding that it continues to monitor market conditions while ensuring customers understand the value by the console at its current price point. Sony's comments come after several rounds of PS5 price increases, which have pushed the base console to around $650 in some regions. The company previously cited inflation and broader economic pressure as key reasons for adjusting prices. However, recent market data appears to paint a more complicated picture. In the United States, the PS5 reportedly recorded its weakest sales performance for the month of May since 2000, with unit sales falling 58% year over year and overall spending dropping 43%. Similar trends were reported in the UK, where PlayStation 5 sales declined by approximately 50% during the same month, leaving the console only narrowly ahead of Xbox Series X in hardware sales. And wasn't there a time too when it came to like the PlayStation 4 that they were beating out some of the competition, or even the PS5? So that is really crazy that now it is starting to drop. Let's see here. I'm kind of curious about something. Just a moment here. Okay. So even just to kind of get this really quick, so yeah, the PlayStation 5 has undergone several price changes since its 2020 launch, which was height of COVID. And already then it was seeing ridiculous scalping and the way people were getting the orders in online for things like in-store pickups and stuff like that. Anytime any store got one, it was crazy, and people scrambled because, you know, I think it was also coming close to the holiday season and stuff like that, so people were trying to get the consoles for the kids and all that. But yeah, so PlayStation 5 undergone several price changes 2020 launch, shifting from its initial retail prices. Look at it, and like people pointed out, it's like it used to be console prices would drop, especially as, you know, time eventually went on. $399 digital, $499 disc, which even that was like, come on. Following multiple increases due to inflation and global economic pressures, including a recent hike in April 2026, the current standard U.S. retail prices are $600 for the digital edition and $650 for the disc edition. But I mean, that's insane for the digital edition and for the disc edition, how much it's closed the gap. You at least had a $100 difference originally. Now it's just a $50 difference. Price history of the PS5 can be broken down into three main phases. Launch phase, which, as you see here, the $499 and $399 respectively. First global price increase 2022, only 2 years later. Disc edition went to $549.99 and digital $449. So they could provide context for both. One, the launch context says the console launched at these standard price points, but widespread supply chain issues led to heavy scalping markups on the secondary market, which is what I just brought up for that. And it was tough for some people trying to get those consoles at the time. And the context for the first global price increase in 2022 says Sony increased prices in most regions globally, citing high global inflation rates and currency headwinds, with the exception of the United States at the time. The US ultimately saw its first increase of $50 in the following years. PS5 Slim introduction and 2026 global hikes. So now that's kind of where we're at now. The Slim Digital $449 upon release of the Slim model raised to $599 in 2026. Slim Disc $499 upon release of the Slim model raised to $649. Jeez. PlayStation 5 Pro, which launched at $699, subsequently raised to $899. Context: in early April 2026, Sony implemented another major global price hike, raising prices up to $150 depending on the model to counter rising production and component costs. And that's just what you're seeing with this one system. We've been seeing it with Xbox, we've been seeing it with Nintendo as well. They've all been increasing the prices of their consoles in general. It's gonna, like I said, I'm really curious if this is showing the potential of I keep hoping for a video game crash like which was seen in the 80s, but I'm not expecting it. I'm hoping, I'm not expecting it. But something needs to happen, because it is starting to get way out of hand. Because consoles were meant to be the more affordable route for gaming anyways. It was the more affordable route for people to go instead of going like the PC route, which could be a little more expensive at times. I would say that ultimately more affordable, especially as time went on, as you got access to things like Steam and GOG, which allowed access to older games, bigger library, and then of course as things like emulation started kicking off, you got even more access to older games from older consoles. So, and hello and good morning to you, Real Wade Nation Gaming. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hello to you too, Joker. Hope you're doing well, and hope work is treating you well, sir. You had a busy weekend for the wrestling side of things. But anyways, so in speaking of consoles, there is the rumor flying around now. Got this over on Niche Gamer. PlayStation 6 rumored to cost over $1,000 at launch. A new rumor surrounding Sony, and I don't generally touch on rumors and stuff like that, but since we also just kind of got that mention due to the investor thing, I'm like, okay, I guess we can kind of go this route too. A new rumor surrounding Sony's next generation console suggests the PlayStation 6 could launch with a price tag exceeding $1,000. If recent manufacturing cost estimate proves accurate, the claim comes from hardware insider Kepler L2, who has previously built a strong reputation for accurately revealing AMD related hardware information ahead of official announcements. Earlier this year, Kepler L2 estimated that Sony's bill of materials, BOM, for the PlayStation 6 would sit around $760 per unit. The insider has now revised that figure upward to approximately $960, an increase of roughly $200. The bill of materials represents only the cost of the hardware components used to manufacture the console. It does not account for additional expenses such as research and development, shipping, marketing, storage, or retail distribution. If the estimates is accurate, Sony would either have to sell the PlayStation 6 at a significant loss or introduce what could become the most expensive launch price in PlayStation history. Honestly, though, this is where probably even Microsoft is going to be going. If they're going to be cooking up a new console anytime soon, this is going to be the same price points they're going to probably be going for too. While a four-figure console price would have seemed unthinkable only a few years ago, rising component costs and continued pressure on memory and storage supply chains have driven up hardware prices across the industry. And you know, that's kind of the funny thing, especially with these consoles that try to stay with the most modern and most up-to-date and beefy systems. This could be a bit worse where Nintendo, who's kind of, yeah, they finally kind of made a little bit more of a beefier system with the Switch 2, could be where they still continue to win out by keeping the components light and not as extreme could kind of win out if they can keep their consoles still at a lower price, even though the Switch 2 is hitting that, I want to say $600, at least here in the US. I hear it's much more expensive in other places. So yeah, like the Nintendo Switch 2 currently costs $449.99, $499 starting September 1st, 2026. Console bundles, bundles like the choose your game option typically range from $499 to $609 depending on the retailer and the game or accessories included. So yeah, Nintendo is looking to be the least expensive console still at this time, while Microsoft and PlayStation are both rising their prices, and with new consoles potentially on the way, you could, yeah. And so let me where did I leave off here? Yeah, so Wildfall figured unthinkable a few years ago. Components. Sony has also increased the retail price of the PlayStation 5 multiple times since its launch, while Microsoft recently raised Xbox hardware prices. With all unconfirmed reports, these estimates should be treated as speculation until Sony provides official information. However, I do think that this is probably going to be the route that they're going to go. In particular, if it'll let me, and for a big reason why we can blame a little bit of the PC side of this, because recently, like it was, and I hadn't gone into this, the Steam machine dropped their prices, and they're starting at $1,049. I do believe that, Valve just went ahead and just said, yep, this is going to be the new standard. And that's where they dropped it for this, and this has been the biggest talking point for the Steam machine. And like it's been pointed out, it's not the components, it's not anything else. It's been this big old price point. And yeah, because of all the things we've kind of already talked about so far, with rising prices of hardware, with memory and all that sort of crap going on, and like it becomes, and with the controller, you're looking at $1,128, for a 2 terabyte version, and then $1,400 with that controller. I do believe that Valve is basically telling us is what's coming for the rest of the console market. This is what we're going to be looking at, unless something really significant happens, unless something really just kills all the prices, all the inflated prices on memory of all sorts, from RAM to storage to everything else. But is there that in the near future? Sadly, I don't think so. Sadly, it does sound like what even Microsoft is talking about doing, which is basically payment plans for your console. This is gonna be the sort of stuff we're looking at. This is unfortunately, like I said, the new norm for the gaming industry. Even though for a lot of us, we help support it, we help put money into it, prop it up, give it that love and time. But now we are probably the ones that are getting the most priced out of it. And certainly why you got to really now maintain, especially if you're a PC gamer, maintain that machine as best as you can, because these prices are getting outrageously ridiculous. And if anything, like I said, I can see PlayStation absolutely with a new, if they do a new PlayStation 6, I love the widened out PlayStation PS5. I could absolutely see them going for this $1,000 price marker. Problem is, I guess put it this way first, the big question becomes, how many early adopters will we actually see when it comes to these new consoles that'll come out? As I've understood, the Steam machine has been selling despite this heavy price point, which is very disappointing in my eyes. Hang on, let's see, Steam machine sales. Yeah, so even like it's been the pre-orders have been hitting hard. There's of course scalping on eBay. It's already been insane, and it's sad because you got the scalpers out there, and I hope the scalpers lose fucking money. I really hope they do. But it also has to be up to people to not go for it. And that's the toughest thing to try. And I know there are people that say, they won't tell people how to spend their money and stuff like that. But I mean, how else then do we kind of stop this sort of thing from happening? How else do we try? I mean, try and dissuade people other than telling them or shaming them that you are only causing harm, only making this industry more predatory, more bloated, more basically abusive to the consumer, that they will freely do this because people will just keep buying into it. And that just becomes my big question. How do we actually combat this without telling people how to spend their money, without telling people how to, or just shame it? It's sometimes why, like, I myself don't really involve myself in a lot of the conversation going on, is because it's frustrating, because you see the lemmings, you see the people that are just complete zombies that keep consuming the product after product and not taking a step back and, either waiting for sales, waiting for this, waiting for that, but too many people feel like they have to. There's that FOMO that they can't miss it out on that on any of the big talking points, even, because like it is too. It's like look at some of the games that have come out and how much of a lifespan they really have. It's like they'll have 1 week of a big talking time and then they're gone. They just vanish out of the zeitgeist of the of the conversation of anything going on. So I don't know, it's frustrating sometimes, because I really want nothing but the best, but at the same time I want nothing more than for this industry to collapse, burn to the ground, so that maybe after some time people can kind of regroup, get their heads in order, and we can maybe rebuild this again to something better, something stronger, something to maybe encouraging what first brought this hobby to such a great place of creativity and, I don't know, expression, and just having fun. Like I've said before, it's like, we had it where games were something like the Doom engine got spread around to so many different places, and so many people just took that engine and created games with it. Now it's like everything is locked down. Everything is barred by copyright and trademarks and this and that. We have silly things like the Nemesis system from, this will be always a sticking point for me, the Nemesis system from the Shadows of Mordor, Shadows of War games, that is locked into a trademark, I believe, that nobody else can use that style of gameplay. And it was it's so cool, because I've said it, it's like, and especially it being under Warner Brothers, they could make such an insanely, if you gave it to the right talented group, especially if it was like Rocksteady, early Rocksteady, who made the Batman Arkham games, especially Arkham Asylum and everything. If you had given that sort of system to those people, I could only imagine how awesome a Batman game or a Flash game, Superman or something, to utilize that system, the Nemesis system, to where you are getting secretive allies through the kind of big, not big, but mid-boss gangsters and stuff like that. The different style of villains that you could have be part of that Nemesis system, where you could beat the tar out of them, gain them on your side, or just, completely dominate them. All this sort of stuff. Like, it was such a cool thing that we had. And then it's locked behind this system, locked behind law and bullshit that, I mean, like it's for WB especially, like they could have made the most epic superhero game, maybe not even tied to a superhero, maybe kind of like not an MMO, but create your own superhero in the DC universe. Do that, or let somebody else have access to that system, a Marvel or just anybody else to really, or any other, not even just a superhero game, any other style, a Saints Row, a Grand Theft Auto. It just blows my mind from what we used to have in gaming to now where everything is just so just so bloated and so locked behind law and red tape and bullshit. Joker just dropped my mini rant video. Oh my, all right, let's go. Joker saying, Fractured, you're being too critical. Just be a gaming fan. Don't question. Yes, just consume product and get excited for next product. Anybody that's been around this channel long enough knows I cannot do that. But I mean, trust me, there are times where I'm just like, I wish I could turn my brain off. It's what Cypher said. Why, oh, why didn't I take the blue pill? There are days where I would love nothing more than to just mindlessly consume. But no, God will, all thanks to my mom. She taught me very early on to question everything. So, or question authority, and then I took it to question everything. And so I can't help myself. It's just in my nature now. But yeah, it's quite the bitch of the whole situation, and it's really gonna be curious more to see where the gaming industry is going now. And Sony, Microsoft, we're gonna be curious where it's all gonna be going. I know I'm always keeping in my eye on everything, on things going on as best as I can. It'll be interesting to see just what will be going on.
Thank you for watching this clip from Respawn Roast Cantina. Please like and subscribe if you like what you see, and check out the full episode.